There we go. Recording. So just quick introduction. I'm going to have you introduce yourself a little bit too, but anyone that doesn't know Kevin, Fitcast, one of my favorite podcasts of all times. You've been doing that how long now?
12 years.
Pretty much when podcasts just barely started coming out, huh?
Yeah, it was kind of like right when it was actually kind of the point when iTunes started like listing podcasts is kind of when I got on board there.
Then you even interned at Cressy's. I didn't know that until I looked up some stuff. Like that was one of your first internships?
Yeah. I mean, I guess we can kind of get right into it. Well, I mean, basically, I started that podcast when I was still in college at Keene State, who unfortunately I saw get destroyed this past weekend by one of my athletes' teams, Tufts. But I guess you got to start rooting for the athletes once you leave school. But yeah, so I was doing that, and then after that, wasn't necessarily. I was pretty sure I wanted to do fitness stuff, but I wasn't sure. I was thinking about doing some journalism stuff, so I actually interned at MTV first out in California. So it was a good opportunity to do that, and just to do something different. And also gave me an opportunity to train at Gold's Gym in Venice for a little bit, which was an interesting experience. But after a couple months there, it was a pretty easy decision to go back and like figure out like, well, first the economy was really bad. It was in 2008 when the economy was like at its worst. But it was not so much that. It was more just like I really wanted to do the fitness thing. It was what I went to school for. It's what I've been most passionate about for the last like 6 years of my life. And this was when Eric had just opened up in Hudson. So I literally just shot him an email, say like, hey, can I go intern there in what would have been the fall? And he basically just sent me a reply, yeah, just show up whenever you get here. So it was a little bit of a different internship application process, but I already knew Eric beforehand and did some video projects for him before that. And literally I lifted with him for, I think I'll try not to make this too long-winded, but I think one of the like really important things that I've gotten out of like really at the start of my career is just like how grateful I am for all the people that have helped me along the way, but also how generous these people have been. Like Eric let me train with him for a summer. He coached me for a summer for free, and really helped me learn the major lifts and how to coach, and to learn to be really strict with what I expect from people when I'm coaching in terms of form to make sure that they're not getting hurt. I learned a lot of that through him when I was still probably, I think it was in between my junior and senior years at college, which was really great. So anyways, yeah, I went and interned at Eric's and did that for about 6 months. And then I did a year at a commercial gym, Boston Sports Club, which you might know, like New York Sports Club. And there's a bunch of other, I know they have them in DC as well. But I did about a year there, and it was very fortunate because I got to start there as the gym opened up. So I was, it's just kind of the commercial gym industry to a certain extent. It's definitely getting better, and Vasa is kind of an exception to this rule. And oddly enough, like I literally, one of my personal training clients I found out was an investor in Vasa. So it's funny. He and I have been talking about it a little bit, but I was the best educated, like literally I was the youngest, but also the best educated. So it allowed me to have, the most like revenue. Like that's how they track all the trainers, and something like that is like, all right, well, how many personal training sessions a week you're doing? That's how we measure success here. So I was doing that for a year, and then I loved it, but I was kind of bored. I was looking for a challenge, and it kind of like, there was definitely a ceiling there. So then I emailed a bunch of people thinking I was going to go back to grad school. But one of the people I emailed was Mike Boyle. And he said, well, before you do anything, just why don't you come down to the gym and talk to me? And NBSC happened to be like a 5-minute drive from where I was working at Boston Sports Club. So I went down and saw him the next day, and we had a short chat. And basically, it's like, I don't necessarily have coaching hours for you right now, but if you think you can bring a couple clients with you, that'll at least have you get some money in your pocket while we get going. And And then we'll find some coaching hours for you. And that happened to lead into not only lots of coaching, but also, projects like Body by Boil Online, which I got to start up there, MBSE Thrive, which I was a co-founder of, Certified Functional Strength Coach, which I was co-founder of. And, that led to 8 years at MBSE. And after that, after 8 fantastic years at MBSE and doing all the great things there, again, I kind of wanted something new and different to do. And I still work with those guys on a weekly basis for this. Like, I'm literally going in to help them with some CFSC stuff in a week or two. But I kind of wanted to do my own thing at this point. I'm 32 right now, so I kind of wanted to start doing my own thing. And that led me to, like, literally, if you're watching the video, that's where we are today. We're in Allied Strength, which is not a very big gym. It's about 1,000 square feet in total. And I'm starting in an area where I knew no one. I had no clients. I had no athletes. I basically opened the doors on day one with 0 people training here. And getting close to, I think I've just, this is the 10th month that I've been open, and just renewed my lease for year 2.
That's awesome. No,
I think that's everything.
I just kind of jumped into it, and then you got going for me on just the bio, so that's awesome. I got a ton of questions for you, just because.
Please, yeah.
I mean, I could go backwards in your career on some of the things that you started, and I got a bunch of questions on that. But even just where you're at now, because I think that's a lot of coaches' dreams, right? It doesn't mean we all should or all could just go open up our own gym, but a lot of people start in a box gym and they're like, that's where I want to be. Mm-hmm. What are some of, like, what made you finally take the leap? And then when you got into it, what were the struggles ahead of you?
So I think the first thing I should preface is to take a step back. So now, I mentioned I forget when it was now, but it was probably it would have been, I guess, a year ago this past April, or maybe it was like even February, when I was like talking with Mike and Bob and Kevin and Brendan, the co-founders of the CFSC and all that stuff, about like, hey guys, like, it's been awesome, but I think I'm going to leave. So let's figure this out so we can make sure that you guys are all set and, everything is good to go. And there's, like, obviously, like I said, there's no animosity, because I literally still work for them and I'm still partnered with them on 2 other companies. So it's a really great relationship. But I kind of 8 years in one spot is like a lifetime in the fitness industry. It is like, how many people, I mean, we know so many stories of people that have spent 1 or 2 years in the fitness industry, then they completely leave the fitness industry. So 8 years in one spot, 8 years, especially at MBSC, which most employees are there for maybe 2 years. And then they'll actually go and, use that as a jumping off point, as a, not only it's like a resume builder, but like a way to get a reference to go do collegiate or professional, or maybe even some other kind of commercial fitness job. And I guess the only reason why, and this is again a credit to Mike and to Bob, is that I was given more opportunities. They kept throwing challenges at me that were intellectually stimulating, and I like to solve problems. So that allowed me to do that. But when I left the CFSC and in doing so MBSC in terms of coaching and stuff, I actually didn't know what I was going to do. First, I was like, I'm just going to take a couple months off, because I was really bad at work-life balance. And I probably still kind of am a little bit. But the thing that I kind of wanted to do is just like, all right, let's take 3 months. I went to a bunch of the Perform Better summits just to see people and have some chats. Had some interesting job offers, but they were still kind of really similar to what I was doing. So I didn't really want to make like a lateral move, and I wasn't necessarily interested in moving unless it was going to be to like Hawaii or something, like, something that was going to be worthwhile. So after a couple months, I started looking around near where I live, which is about 30 minutes or 35 minutes away from MBSC. So I'm really far, in terms of the gym business, really far away from them. And in my area, there really was nothing like what we did at MBSC. There are mostly just like, there's health clubs, there's a YMCA, there's some like yoga studios and like a TRX studio. But there was nothing like what we did at MBSC. And I thought there was a really, there was a need for something like this in the area, not just for adults, but especially for athletes, because I'm right next to two major high schools and the third one's not that far away. And what I wanted to do is to provide a resource for adults and athletes in the area, because it's one of those things that we say a lot, but you don't realize until, especially once it's kind of like your facility, where a lot of us get into this industry to help other people. If you get it, that's really the right reason to get into this. Some people, the ones that stay for like a year or two and then kind of fall out, they're the ones that usually got into this because they like to work out, and they thought, hey, I would like to, why don't I hang out at a place where I work out all day and I get to help other people work out. But for me, getting into fitness was very much a personal thing, able to see the benefits of what fitness can have on someone's life, and especially for athletes. So, I wanted to provide something like that for someone here in the area. And I just happened to find this spot. There's not a lot of industrial space. A lot of what was around here was really storefront type stuff. And it's expensive, and it's not really conducive for a gym environment. Like they have hardwood floors and stuff, where this is basically a box with a bathroom and cement floors and all that stuff. So I was able to get a pretty decent price on rent here that I thought was affordable. And, after the build out, it was something that I could, with the money that I used to kind of like sell my stake in the CFSC, I was able to kind of fund this stuff out of pocket without having to do a bank loan or anything. That's kind of when I saw this spot, I'm like, it kind of like feels right. It's 7 minutes from my house. It's a 7-minute drive from my house. So it's really close. And again, it's kind of right in between two major high schools and two cities. One that is pretty affluent. It's a bunch of coastline properties and stuff. And then the other town is kind of like half and half. It's like kind of half upper, half middle class and stuff. And so it allowed me to also make sure I can price things correctly to make this place, make sense financially for the work and the time and the effort that I was going to put into
it. Dude, so I've been like watching your Instagram and stuff of just,
Right.
It's been really interesting. I love that you've been posting stuff when you were building this out.
Yeah.
Because it kind of gives that story. And now when I look at it, like you've built a community, you built a culture over there, and you're starting to get your family going in Allied Strength, right?
Yeah.
And even just highlighting like these guys doing pull-ups now, right? Hey, we've got one. They did their first real pull-ups today, and then you signed it off, How you said you went in there, you had no clients, right?
Right.
You didn't even know this community really?
I mean, I went to high school in this community, but I was not a popular kid. I was not someone that was always out doing stuff in the public. So I didn't have a lot of connections with folks in the area. And even when I came back, even though I knew the vice principal, who is now the athletic director, the tough thing with especially athletics, like when you're building up from zero, is that usually athletic directors are not going to be a ton of help, because at smaller schools, they're usually an athletic director and something else. Like he's a vice principal and an athletic director, which is really, really tough. Even emailing out to a bunch of coaches, like, you're the new kid in town. Like, why should I send any of my athletes to you? Like, why should I trust you? Even with the resume that I built up, for them, like that, Mike Boyle doesn't mean anything to a lot of people. He means something to folks in this industry, or like having a CSCS means a lot to someone, folks in this industry, but not so much to just someone that coaches basketball, as kind of like a part-time thing. So, started from zero, but that's kind of, that was probably the biggest, you mentioned challenges. The biggest challenge was probably psychological, getting started in here and just being super bummed out for the first 3 months, because first 3 months I probably had 4 people training here. And there were some days where I just never came in the gym. And this is, I was still doing emails. I was trying to do some advertising. I was sending out, messages to folks in town to like try to get them out here and stuff. But at some point, once you get so much rejection, you get a little bummed out for a little bit. So, that definitely, hit me a little bit, because with everything else that I've done in the industry, I've been rather successful. So it was actually, in the end, it's probably really healthy for me long term to get such rejection at the start. Because when you go in to open a place like this, again, from my kind of background, it kind of is like, all right, well, like I've coached all these great people. I have all this experience coaching. I have by far the best program in the area. Like, again, I did some research and I looked at all the gyms in the area, and I looked at the programs. I looked at their prices. I looked at what they offer. I looked at the videos of people training in their classes, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, this is the fitness industry. There's a huge wide range of quality. And what I thought is, all I got to do is drop this box in here, put in the flooring and the weights, and people will recognize quality right off the bat. But I think what we need to kind of remember as, fitness professionals is that the consumer, they're not always super educated, and it's not their fault, because they've been something I've been thinking about and I've been writing about and trying to figure out how to put this together into something that is a little bit more cohesive. But the consumer has been lied to, for the last, however many years. Like, for decades, they've been lied to, saying this is going to be the program to help you get in the best shape of your life. This diet plan is going to be the one that's going to help you lose 30 pounds for the rest of your life. This piece of fitness equipment is all you need. And they've been lied to over and over and over again. They might have signed up at some of the gyms in the area and not gotten any results, or not have been supported along the way. And then, well, why does this, how's this place any different? So even it was tough to sometimes get people in here for trials. I'll give you one example. I did have one connection. I had the local soccer coach, girls varsity soccer coach, come into my gym and say, oh my God, this is great. This is what we've been looking for years. Finally, we have a place like this. We're going to send 20 or like 25 girls to you probably this summer. So what happened is I got 3 out of those 25 to sign up for the summer program. And, what I kind of noticed is, like, we even did, like, for this group specifically, I said, like, oh, this is great. It sounds like you guys are going to all be on board, but I want you to be sure. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you guys 3 weeks of training for free. You're going to train, you're going to do 6 free sessions, and we're just going to do it for free just to make sure you like it. And for me, it's like, all right, and also I'm going to get some promotional material out of it. So I'd rather have the gym be full than empty, instead of making money. So we did that. We had mainly one girl on the team who does train here, like spearheading this stuff. And they couldn't get any of these girls to show up for free training, and like, this was literally like a month of free training. And we couldn't get any of them to show up. So what ended up happening is we basically had the 3 best players on the team show up. Jade and Mia, who are sisters, and Claire, who is also, like, again, like, they're probably 3 of the better, if not the best players on the team, which at the end of the day, yes, it's a bummer that we didn't have them all show up. But it's, it's really tough. You have to make money, but the best feeling, I can put it this way, and I know I'm kind of like rambling and going all over the place, but I've had the opportunity I've never seen these girls play. I've never seen any of my athletes play until this past week, where I got to go to a couple of the girls' high school soccer games, where I got to see these 3 girls play. And I got to hear from the coach, like, firsthand, saying, like, literally on day 1 of them being back after training here this summer, they've made like quantum leaps in improvement, physically, in terms of their performance on the field. Like, just, they stand out from everyone else. They are just physically knocking people around on the field, because, like, soccer is I guess I was a little, I guess I did not know much about soccer, we'll put it that way. So I didn't realize how physical of a sport it was until they started talking to me about the sport, how like girls are always like, and I guess this is in boys soccer too, but how they will always be like, it's kind of a dirty sport. But now that they haven't put on a lot of size, but they're a lot stronger, especially in terms of like their balance. So when they go after a loose ball, like they just, the girl that's going up against them on the other team, they're like bouncing off them, which is kind of a really good sign. And once that happens once in a game, they tend to basically just have free reign of getting that loose ball against that same player because, they tend to not want to get the same kind of physical contact again because it's not a lot of fun. So I got to see them and one of my college athletes, Callie, in action over the last week or so. And honestly, like I don't have kids. So like for me, it was like I was incredibly proud of them to see that hard work reflect on the field, and to see it in their confidence and to see it in their play. And it was just really cool. Like this is something that unfortunately, I think, when I was at NBSC, most of my work focused on the business side, focused on content creation, and coaching towards the end was more of a thing that I did if I could fit it in. And like I made sure I was always at least coaching one group, but like at the end I got rid of all my personal training. I was just coaching because it was so much fun. And I think this has also helped me realize how important it is as coaches to not just support the people in the gym, but also to support them outside the gym as well, because it means a lot to these athletes and to the adults. Like if they're going to run like a 5K and you show up to help support them or you run it with them or something like that, that can be really powerful. So I can't remember where we kind of I think like the struggles with the gym, but like again, I think that's the big thing that I also can impart on you guys. Like just if you don't have your own gym yet, what are the things that you can do to support? Hey, bud, I'm actually doing a conference call. Can you give me like 30 minutes? Okay. Oh, no problem. Awesome. Thank you, bud. Sorry, that's my landlord.
Okay.
Yeah, on my lease. So basically, the thing I was trying to impart is like, basically do your best to show up for this stuff. And again, I don't know, it was just, it's really cool because even though we had a small group this summer, you have to start small. It will snowball. Like, having their players on the team recognize, whoa, like they're so much better this year than they were last year, or even like compared to the summer league games. Like what happened? Maybe that will roll over into getting some more kids for the winter right now, but it's kind of how it is. You're not going to start with 40 kids from day one, especially with the types of marketing stuff that I'm doing. Like I've been very adverse to what I consider to be gross marketing tactics, and I'm going to kind of stick that way as long as I possibly can.
No, I think that, yeah, I was talking about like struggles at first, but I mean, that goes back to your community of
Right.
how I said you built a great community. And I think that's a big part of it is, yeah, it's what you do inside the gym. It's badass that your coaches are saying, like their coaches, the soccer team is saying,
Right.
Man, what have you done with these girls? And they're powerhouses now. Cause I think that'll bring more business back to you, but it also shows you did something great as a coach. But the other thing with your clients, there's, like you said, support them outside of the gym. And that's when it becomes a true community. And so I think that's awesome that you even got back to your roots. And it probably was a little emotional to you too, when you go and like see them play and you're like, wow, those are my girls out there playing right now.
Right. It's kind of weird because, this is a little bit of a wake up call to realize, the current state of, youth athletic parents, and how, most parents are great, but it was interesting to see how some parents react to stuff that's going on in the game, because I usually I usually don't sit with the parents because like I just kind of like want to quietly support them. Like I'm not screaming and yelling at them and stuff and saying like even not screaming positive stuff like, you know, good job or whatever. I just kind of want to be there. You know, I just want to show up. I want to show up to support them because they're getting so much other stuff yelled at them from their coach, from their parents, other parents, parents from the other team. Like for me, uh, like I'm much a little bit more of an introvert, at least, especially when it comes to that stuff. Like I'd rather just have them do their thing. They know what they're doing. They like, I don't know much about soccer anyway. So, you know, what I will do in my capacity is I will show up, and if they say hi, I will say hi. Otherwise, you know, afterwards I will get in my car and I will head back to the gym because like, you know, they have plenty of other people there that will tell them how well they played, how poorly they played, they missed this shot, they had this opportunity, they got to do better next time. I'm like, um, I'll say, hey, great job on that set of chin-ups. That's probably like that's my realm of stuff. So I will stick in there. But one of the cool things that happened over the last 2 weeks is again, I had these two sisters, one that definitely showed up more than the other. That made it a priority more than the other, I guess, if I'm you know, that's probably the best way to put it. But what happened was as soon as this other sister saw, once she got on the field, what we did in the gym helped her on the field, she was like emailing me immediately like, all right, we're going to make sure that we get in lifts in season. I want to lose this strength. Like I need to maintain this strength. And she's going to play college next year. And this is one of the things I'm going to talk to them about this weekend. They're going to come in and train this weekend. Is like I went to go see that Tufts Keene State game, which is Division III soccer. And the first thing that I noticed is, yeah, that's the difference between girls varsity soccer and women's college soccer. Like it is a huge difference in the size of the athlete. And it really imparted on me like, all right, Kev, like this is also going to be on your shoulders to make sure you get them ready for the rigors of the difference between a high school game, which is like, you know, at a small high school versus a Division III college game. Like they need to physically be ready because the last thing that you ever want outside of performance, like at the end of the day, like, you know, I could care less about performance. The last thing I want to have happen is to have them get hurt, to have them get injured on the field, you know, hurt their knee, hurt their back, you know, tear their ACL, anything that's going to get them out for an extended period of time. Because the way that I look at it, with these youth athletes, some athletes are only going to play in high school. So if they miss a year of their high school career, that's 25% of their complete athletic career is gone. So it's our responsibility as a coach, first and foremost, to prepare them to reduce their risk of injury. Like that should be priority number one. And then I think priority number two is performance. Like number one priority for every sports performance program should be helping reduce the risk of injury. Like it should be like number one with number two far below that, because I think it's not just them losing a year of their career. It's also the trauma of having to go through a knee surgery, how it affects their academics if they're out of school for an extended period of time. Like there are a lot more factors than just not playing the game. There's lots of psychological, social, and academic factors that play into it as well.
And that can even lead down. It's not just a year off, like you said. Once you have an injury, that might creep up on you the rest of your life.
Yeah, I mean, if you tear your ACL once, you have an increased likelihood of tearing it again, even after repair, or just creating the possibility that you are less confident in your movement. It could change your game, you know, forever. Who was it? It was like the Texans quarterback who's just coming back from ACL or something like that. Like he's not moving the same. Like athletes take a long time to get the confidence back in, you know, whether it's a knee, a shoulder, a hip, to get the confidence back to play like they once did. And what happens is you usually see diminished performance not because they're not strong, not because the knee's not healthy, but because psychologically they don't trust it. So you don't want that to happen either.
I got a lot more questions if nobody else does, but I'm just going to leave the floor open for you guys because you woke up early enough or you're not training and set aside time to talk to Kevin. So Jordan or Cody, Rachel, you guys got anything?
I got one, but it's not training related. Kevin,
Yeah.
I want one of your shirts. How do I get one?
You can come to Allied Strength at 27 Cumberland Road in Gloucester, Massachusetts.
That's a trip.
Actually, if you email me this afterwards, and if you send me your information, maybe I can send you one.
Okay.
It depends how many people ask for T-shirts, though. I don't. It does cost money.
Original.
What's that?
I guess that was part of my next question was how did you think of your name and your design?
So yeah, Jordan, get back to me. We'll maybe shoot me an email or something. If you get, like, we'll make sure we get out emails and stuff. And Nick has my email. But it's weird. A lot of people who look at the name of the gym, they think, oh, because you want to be at the front of the phone book. I'm like, who the fuck looks at a phone book? Like, when was the last time you guys opened a phone book to look for something? And it's usually like the older, people that will say something like that. Sorry, I'm going to keep moving around so my legs don't fall asleep. But actually what I wanted to do, so when I saw this space, I'm like, all right, you're going to open a gym. What is this gym? What do you want to convey from the name of the gym, and what do you want to do here? And I think the big thing that, is hard to do at a large gym, like the Vasa facilities I've been to, those are pretty big facilities, like MBSC, which is a pretty big facility. It's really hard to have, I'm using the word cohesive a lot, but kind of a cohesive feeling for everyone that walks through that door. Because, at MBSC, there's 20 coaches. Like, everyone's a little bit different. And that's like literally, it continues to be one of their biggest challenges is, oh man, like Mike walks in someday and someone's doing something completely like that's not the MBSC system. And he has to kind of reel them back in. So here, what I wanted to do was to create a gym where everyone feels like it's their gym. I think I stole that from someone else, like from Mark Fisher or something like that. But I love that. But to a greater extent, I wanted to create a gym for all the people that feel like they don't belong at the other gym. They don't feel like they step into a health club. They look around, nobody looks like them. They look around, nobody's supporting them. No one's saying, hey, how you doing today? Hey, how you feeling? Hey, is there anything I can help you out with? Hey, do you need some water? And that was the one thing that I wanted to do with the gym here, is to allow everyone that walks through that door to feel like, oh, I feel super comfortable here. I'm not self-conscious. I'm looking forward to not only lifting and doing the program, I'm looking forward to seeing the coach. I'm looking forward to seeing the other people in the group. So it's kind of still an unwritten rule, but it's like there's kind of a zero tolerance policy, whereas if anyone kind of makes other people feel uncomfortable, and there's a justified reason why they're making people feel uncomfortable, like, not to make it political, but I could, we'll make it political for a second, where if someone, someone walks in and they're like always talking about like Trump or something like that, one way or the other, I don't think that's very helpful for the community, because all it's going to do is create tension and kind of animosity between folks. So I kind of have a no politics policy in the gym. Sometimes it slips, from time to time, because stuff's going on in the news and people want to sometimes vent. People want to sometimes get, just let some air out about it. But what I wanted to do was create a gym where everyone felt like they belonged, and it felt like, again, they looked forward to training every single time that they came in. They could have a crappy day at work and be like, all right, like, I really don't want to work out right now, because you feel after a crappy day, and this happens often here. I've kind of really tried to instill into folks, like, you guys know Dan John, so it's like, I stole this from him, is like, the most important thing you guys can do is show up. And what I promise to you is that if you show up, by the time that you walk out through that door, you're going to feel a hell of a lot better than when you walked in. And that's whether you had a bad day or not. You're going to physically feel better. You're going to mentally feel better. And hopefully emotionally, you're going to feel better too. because I want you to feel like this is a place of growth. This is a place where you can be yourself and you don't have to be someone else. And that has been what's happened for better or worse. Some people that are very talkative, and they will kind of dominate the group sometimes, and we got to kind of back them up or kind of, have them calm down a little bit. Like, hey, am I going to say names? But like, hey, I'm going to ask someone else how they're doing today, just to like make sure that we're kind of balancing things out a little bit. But also, I think it's, this partially goes along with it. Like, I think we should celebrate every achievement that people have at the gym. I have one woman that took maybe 6 months, maybe 5 months, 6 months to get her first push-up. But we've been working on it forever. And she finally did it. And it was literally a big deal here at the gym for a week for everyone. Like, everyone like congratulating her and talking about it. And for like, we could tell she was getting really close. So we were really cheering her on for like the weeks leading up to it. And then when she got her first one, it was a really big deal here. I think the same thing, whether it's an adult or an athlete, because, with the athletes, usually the sports performance program here is going to attract athletes that are athletic. But I really want to also make sure the environment's great for people that aren't athletic, because that was me in high school. And those were the kids that I usually was gravitating towards at MBSC, where, it's, again, I guess I can understand how this happens from time to time, but some coaches will tend to gravitate towards the better athletes because they think it's more fun to put more weight on the bar just to see them do crazy things athletically. But the kids that I gravitated towards were the ones that didn't want to be there. The ones that were, either overweight or unathletic, didn't want to be there. Those are the kids that I wanted to hang out with the most because I wanted them to feel comfortable there, where a lot of times what I was seeing from other coaches, this was, again, MBSC has 20 coaches, so they're not all going to be awesome. They're not all going to be kick-ass, and they're not all going to have the same background like I have. But, sometimes I'd see them stick an intern that doesn't really necessarily know what they're doing just yet with the new kid, with the untrained kid, where I think that's a responsibility of the head coach of that group to go and make sure, like, hey, Rachel, you feeling all right today? Like, I know this is the second day. Like, we're going to be doing a lot of the same stuff over and over again. And what we're going to do is really kind of master these movements, master these exercises. You're going to be great at these. I know we're doing push-ups right now, like at an angle, but we're going to gradually work you down. You're going to be doing push-ups to the ground like everyone else. Like, that's kind of how everyone starts. You're on day 2 of a really long journey. So for both adults and athletes, I think that's what we should be doing. I think that maybe goes against kind of the old school thought, but I think the most destructive thing coaches can do, and we see it in some gyms, we see it in some methodologies of strength and conditioning and fitness, but people still use negative reinforcement to try to help people get results. Call them weak. I'll use it as an example. And this is literally a note that I wrote down today. Is I don't necessarily like how CrossFit gets dogged on a lot, because it is not just CrossFit. But what happens is, we have coaches that don't have a really good understanding on how to progress people on movements. They don't have a really good idea of what to do when someone's brand new. What tends to happen is that they put weight on the bar and they have everyone lift it. And if you can't lift it, you got to try harder. Or, I guess you're just going to sit this one out. And I ended up having one of my members that trains here literally came here because she was previously at a CrossFit that was literally in the same building she worked at. But now she drives 15 minutes to the gym here. But at that CrossFit, they basically put a weight on the bar. And when she couldn't do it, they basically gave her 2 middle fingers. And it's like, all right, well, I guess you got to get stronger. I'm like, and that's not fitness. That's not really helping the person get better. What is going on there is that coach is doing this for the wrong reasons. And it's still one of the things that if I can make an impact on this industry in the next couple of years, if I get an opportunity to do more talks and stuff like that, do more interviews like this, like that's probably the message I want to get across the most is, you guys got to remember, and I'm sure you guys all do, like, again, Vossel is kind of the exception to a lot of the industry, but you know, are you helping people get to where they want to go? Do you have a really clear understanding of what they want out of their training? And are you making sure that it is always about them? Is it always about, how are they doing today? Are you asking them about their day instead of telling you about your day? Are you making sure it is a positive environment that they want to come back to? Because, we all have heard stories of clients that used to train somewhere else, or, we have friends and family that went to go train somewhere. And what happened was they just didn't want to go back in that building anymore. They didn't want to be coached by that person anymore. So they stopped training. Are you meeting people where they're at and not just having incredibly high expectations from them from day one? It's like literally, I've been taking Japanese lessons for like the last 9 months. And it's like, literally, would you drop me in the middle of some rural place in Japan and say, good luck, like go for it. Like have fun communicating with people that don't speak a language that's anything like yours. And I think that's what a lot of people do with new members and new clients and new athletes is they basically expect too much for them. They don't meet them where they're at and help them, progress gradually. That's where you get that long-term success. And I think it's also what we need to have in our, our messaging when it comes to like expectations for folks is, this isn't a 30-day fat loss program. That's why I don't do 60-day fat loss challenges here. I don't like you guys, heads up, I'm rambling. But I understand why people like, oh yeah, we just get them in for like the 6-week thing and then we convert them. I'm like, oh no, I totally get that. Also, like I don't have group classes here and I don't have the ability to do a lot of that stuff. But I also think like the way that I set up my memberships for folks, this is for group training, and for athletes, it's like athletes, it's a 10-week or 11-week session. For adults, it's a minimum of a 12-week commitment, because it's like, all right, well, anything that, any achievement is going to probably take 3 months. It's going to take 12 weeks. Like how many times have you tried the 28-day abs program and not gotten abs? How many times have you tried that fat loss program and at the end of the day, you actually didn't learn anything? You didn't build any skills. You didn't learn anything that's going to help you for years to come. What happened is that you lost 10 pounds and then you gained 15 pounds. Like it's, we got to make sure that we're setting these expectations right and we're not lying to potential customers just to tell them what they want to hear. Like that's like, again, I might have more people in here if I did stuff like that. But like, I just don't, I'm just not a big fan of that. It's the same thing. I literally talked with Dan John about this a couple weeks ago at Perform Better, but a lot of people in marketing or in gym business folks, they were saying, oh yeah, everything that you should do, it should be like a 12-month like commitment. That way, you have that money coming for 12 months. I'm like, that's a really rough way to put it. Because what it sounds like is that the money is more important than the results. And again, for me, I think 12 weeks is fair. Because give me 12 weeks so I can make a commitment to you. You can make a commitment to what we're doing here at the gym. And then after 12 weeks, I need to continue to earn that money. I have to continue to help you progress. And if I'm not, if you feel like this place is not worth the value, like, 28 weeks in, if you want to leave, like, no, well, you know what, Nick? Sorry, you signed up for 52 weeks. So I'm going to take that money whether you walk out the door or not. So you might as well stay here. Of course, no one would say it like that. But I just think like that's why I put it this way when I was talking to Dan Jones, like, how many people love it when they sign, like, remember we used to sign up for like 2-year cell phone plans, and then you would like sign up for AT&T and you would move somewhere else, and then you have no AT&T service, but then you call them up and say like, well, I don't really get signal, so I need to cancel. And they'd be like, here's 2 middle fingers. The cancellation is $360. Good luck. Like, I just am not a fan of that, because I think it just has such negative connotations towards the customer.
No, I mean, we just talked to Stu last week, and we were talking about that with chiropractic work and how somebody might sell like a certain amount of sessions for it, right? When they don't know, I don't know where you're going to be as a chiropractor financially, right, or if you're going to be healed, and I kind of have to work as we go. I think that's all. not going to get anywhere within a month. So let's get you on at least 6 weeks. And then after that, we can have conversations and also build the value with you. So I love that.
Yeah. The only thing that I do that's like in packs is for personal training. Like I literally, for the convenience of my personal training clients, I say like, if you want to just buy 10 sessions at a time, okay, fine. And I'll give you a little bit of a discount because, you know, you're giving me $800 right now. So instead of like $90 a session, it's $80 a session. And for those guys are like, oh, really? I'm out. All right, let's get 10 more. Like, and I want a cup of protein, like whatever. Because again, if you're giving them that value, and this is the other thing that I've tried to like, I have like this, you guys have notes like on your phone and on your MacBook and stuff if you have a Mac, but I have this like notes folder that's just full of stuff that we've just been talking about and things like, you know, what we need to do a better job of is like Nick, I don't want to sell you a fat loss program. Like I know that's what you're coming to me for. Not that you are, you know, like that's like what a lot of people are coming to us for is for like, I want to lose 15 pounds. And really what we're trying to do is we're trying to help people live longer and live healthier. And what I'm trying to do, like with some of my personal training clients and people that train here, is like I'm just trying to help you live like outside of a nursing home as long as possible. I want you to avoid the nursing home as long as humanly possible. I want you to avoid the medical bills because we all know about where medicine is in the United States and like hospital bills and insurance. What you're doing is you're making an investment in yourself. And yeah, it's going to pay off a little bit right now. It pays out a little bit, but when it really pays out, because it's kind of like a 401k in like 30 years, when all your other friends are using walkers or they're in wheelchairs or they're in nursing homes, you're still going to be hiking. Like you're going to be playing with your grandkids. You're going to be walking your dog. You're going to be reducing your risk factors for bunch of forms of cancer and degenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. You're going to be helping literally stack the deck in your favor to for your 70s and your 80s, and hopefully at that point, like we should be living into our 90s past 100. Like, and like when I say that, people think I'm joking. I'm like, no, I'm not joking. Like we should, by the time that everyone's on here, like I'm in my 30s. Like by the time I'm in 70 years, like I should be living far into the like past 100 years old. If I'm not, we got nuked or something like that. But I think that is that should be the expectations that we set out because. How many of us have family members that went into a nursing home that died because they fell, they broke a hip, they hit their head. What we're doing is we're trying to make sure, and I think it was actually Mike Boyle that put it this way, but like basically what we're trying to, this is what it was. Basically the point where they start like talking about putting you into a home, into a nursing home is when you can't wipe your ass anymore. Because, like if you can't wipe your ass, like you can't turn around and do that, or you can't get up and down off of a toilet, that's kind of the point where, your family members are going to be looking at nursing homes for you. So if we can just make sure that you can wipe your ass for the rest of your life and then you just drop dead, like that should be the goal for everyone. Although, again, probably not best to put that in your marketing material. That's
going to be my new consultation every single time.
Help you wipe your ass in your 90s.
Yeah.
We're going to do. That's why we're doing our anti-rotation stuff. We're doing thoracic mobility. We're going to make sure like that's the best selling point for thoracic mobility work. Is like, yeah, if we don't do this and your thoracic mobility continues to get worse, you're not going to be able to wipe your ass, and you're going to be in a nursing home in your 60s. So.
It's like funny, but it's not, because that's exactly what it is when it comes down to it.
Again, we've all had family members, and the thing is it's funny, but that is when it's when people tend to increase the rate of degradation in terms of their health, because it is morally crushing to have someone else wipe your ass for you. Whether it's a nurse or whether. For us, it could be our son or our daughter that's helping us do this. So, like that is not something that you want to have happen. Like it's, It's kind of one of those things that shouldn't be a selling point, but it kind of is at the end of the day.
So I know we don't have too much more time left with you, and I hear your phone in the background.
Yeah, it's okay. It's probably like clicking, hey, do you want to improve your Google search results?
Probably. I just, all the stuff you're saying right now is on the same lines as I think we're all thinking. You're just speaking it very eloquently and like giving us a better path. But I think there's a lot of fascinating things just following you over the years. Well, where are your goals? Like, obviously you got your gym now. Like, do you want to grow it? You're working on like learning Japanese. I know you love going like to different countries even.
Right.
Like,
actually,
your goals over the next
part of leaving the CFSC was so I didn't need to travel anymore. Like, God, we took some shitty flights to Utah, man. We took like these flights that would leave at like 8 p.m. in Boston, and then we would land at like 11:30 our time. But then it would be like, or we'd leave like land at like 10:30 in Utah, which is like 1 a.m. our time. But sorry. Anyways, I guess my goal right now is to just make this gym. I still have not taken a paycheck out of the gym. So I've had this place open for 10 months, and the gym makes money. There is a 5-digit amount in the bank account for the gym. But I'm still not, I still don't feel safe enough. I probably don't want to take any money out of the gym until past the first year, because what I've been doing with a lot of money is reinvesting. Like, I have decked out everyone that trains here in Allied Strength apparel, whether it's hoodies. I give everyone, if you need a t-shirt, I'll get you a t-shirt, because, as long as you're going to wear it.
Jordan.
Yeah, I know Jordan, but see, Jordan doesn't live in the Cape Ann area, so it's not going to help me with advertising, but might help with making the brand stronger. But like, I literally have a thing out there. Like, if anyone's like, oh yeah, can I get a tank top? Yeah, I'll order it. It'll be here next week. And like, how much is it? I'm like, don't worry about it. Like, you're going to wear it, because that's kind of the important part. So yeah, like, I bought I spent like what did I spend? Like $500 on hoodies at the end of the summer for everyone, so they could have like a light hoodie to wear in the fall. And I'm going to do it again in the winter. I'm going to buy heavy hoodies for people when it's colder out, so they'll have something to wear. And then when we get back to the spring, we'll be like, all right, let's get new t-shirts. Who wants a t-shirt, tank top, or whatever? So my goal right now is to just grow the gym, because like I said, I just agreed to my second year lease. I'm on a year-to-year lease, so it gives me a lot of flexibility. But I kind of would love, again, another thing I didn't love about doing the CFSC stuff, I didn't like being a manager. At least I didn't then. Maybe I will again someday, but I didn't like managing employees. Again, employees in a lot of ways that were like smarter than me, especially from like the coaching standpoint and the technical standpoint of that stuff. But I think I would love to just basically run this place by myself, come in for a couple hours, coach, go home, walk my dog, come back for a couple hours, coach, go home, then come back again for the evening and coach some more. Like, I'd love to make this place do like 6 or 7 hours of coaching a day, 6 days a week. Like, I'm here on Saturdays and Sundays. I don't take a day off. If someone wants to train, I'll come in and train, because this wasn't always the case. I felt this way at MBSC, but literally the best part about my day is when I'm in this gym, when I'm coaching people. Like, sometimes like we'll all feel this way, like, oh man, like I gotta go coach. Like, I'd so much rather be at home, like playing this video game, or like, watching like this new Netflix series or something. But when you get there and you coach and you find a good group of people, like, oh, it's almost like the same thing that happens with the people who are like, oh man, I don't want to go to the gym. But hey, when you get here, you're going to feel a lot better. And that's the one thing I noticed is, again, it was really tough at the start because there wasn't a lot of people in here, but as it's gotten busier, my psychological, my psychological standpoint was a lot better on all this stuff, and my mood was a lot better. That's kind of really only my goal right now, is to continue to grow this place. I definitely want to grow the sports performance program. It was a little anemic this summer, and not as strong as I would want it to be, but I made more money in the 3 months this summer. Like, I made more money in the 3 months this summer than I did in the previous 5 months. combined. So, it was a strong summer, and I'm looking forward to just, going back to my athletes' games. Like, I literally am going to drive an hour each way to soccer games on Saturday and Sunday so I can watch one of my athletes play, because I think that's really important to do. And it's not like I have 50 athletes. Like, as long as I can, I want to just go to these games and support these kids because they believed in me to come train here. So I think the least I can do is believe in them and support them in their athletic goals. And again, it's not work for me. It's like, it's fun. Like, I got really excited to go to the game and watch Callie play her first college game. And she's like a freshman and playing like 50 minutes a game, which is insane. But you just literally get, I know we only have a couple minutes, but just like indulge me for a second. But literally getting messages from athletes like Taylor, who sent me something, sorry, not Taylor, Liz sent me this, where she basically went into her first day of lifting at the college. She's a college lacrosse player. She's a freshman, and like the strength coach brought all the kids in the room, like, all right, guys, this is what we're doing today. And by the end of this year, you're all going to be able to do a chin-up, because he expected none of them to be able to do a chin-up. And she raised her hand. It's like, I can do a chin-up. He's like, all right, show me. And she was the only one that could do a chin-up. And she sent me a text message, first lift today, and your program overlaps so much. Thank you. He was saying how at the end of this, you will all be able to do chin-ups. And I could do one the first day. So I just want to thank you so much and can't wait to train next summer. Like, it's stuff like that. And it's stuff like, Callie, who didn't even realize I was at her game. Like, I was sitting at the sideline. I'll show you, like, I even sent her a picture. She's like, you were there? And I'm like, yeah, look at, like, the official photos on your, like, the news story, like, show me in the background, like, wearing my Allied Strength hoodie and all that stuff. But she literally, like, I think it was after her first game, might not be in here, but, basically saying, like, yeah, like I've been noticing, like, the improvements in strength on the field, especially, like, going after, like, these bigger women that are old, like literally 3 years older than her in some cases. And even Taylor, who I was mentioning, she was coming off of knee surgery. So she has torn ACL and she's trying to make a team. I have a athlete, Ramsey, who plays at Colorado College. She plays lacrosse, and she had a torn hip labrum. Like, her hip was a mess. Like, she has been injury prone for a long time. And she went back to school this year, and the PT checked her out. And she's like, I've never seen a hip this strong. Like, you are in better shape than any other athlete that's come in here. And, like, to have them text me and, like, them being like, oh, it clicked with them. Like, oh, man, it was worth it. And thank you so much. Like, that is, that's like the best drug ever for a strength coach or a personal trainer or a group exercise coach, whatever you want to call us. So I think that's all the fuel I need to keep doing this stuff.
I love that. I love seeing that passion, though, from you, just because that's what I think most of us got in the industry for. We might have taken other paths and taken things on our plates as we went. But, like, even me, I've got to get coaching a little bit more over this last month. I'm like, this is why I started, right? And I love that. It's fun to hear, because going back to your roots of understanding why we even got into this, that's what keeps the passion alive of us, like,
and again, if I had a financial advisor, and actually went to a financial advisor before I opened the gym, but financially, it made a lot more sense for me to stay at the CFSC and not sell that stuff. But I'm so much, again, nothing against those guys, but I think it just goes to say, like, where my mental state was at by the time, like, I asked to leave is I'm having so much more fun now. And this is so much more rewarding for me because, like, it stinks. Like, I don't necessarily, like, I talk to you guys more than anyone else, but there were so many of those CFSC events that was the same event over and over and over and over again. I mean, it's the same stuff every time we do it. And, like, you lose connection, like, or I don't even get to talk to everyone in the group. So I know you guys are running out of time, so we can wrap up there. But if anyone is watching this at the end, if you need anything or if you have any questions, just Kevin, at alliedstrength.com, or go to alliedstrength.com, and there's a contact page if you forget any of that. And those emails will go right to me if you need anything after this.
Oh, thanks, Kev. No, it's nice to hear. Like you said, there's financial, but none of us are ever going to be rich doing this, or the very few.
Right.
So it's awesome to hear that it's like, no, you chased your passion,
it's like
there might have been a little bit more money there, but
how much money do you really need? Like at the end of the day, like if this gym turns into $100,000 a year gym, like I really don't need more money than that. Like I think I was literally talking to someone, a personal training client, about this the other day. Like we always hear about celebrities doing crazy stuff and buying crazy things and doing something insane. It's like, it's really like a big purchase is like a laptop. Like or like going on like a trip to Orlando, like flying JetBlue. Like I think it is important to still get really fired up about that, but still have, be good with your money and save your money, and like being a little more financially conscious has allowed me to do this stuff in the first place. So
thanks for giving a shit and getting on here.
Happy to do it.
Like, I appreciate the hell out of you. Anytime I've reached out to you, you've helped me, even like over an email or like, yeah, I'll jump on a call. Like, hey, and like I think you were kind of saying this at the beginning of the call. It just amazes me. Like there's probably still douchebags in our industry, even people that we think are really smart.
Right.
But there's been a lot of people that actually give a shit and want to help. They're not even looking for you jump off college and ask for a penny, right? You're like, cool, yeah, I'll jump on. I'll talk to you guys. I'll help out. And that's going to do this.
Yeah, it was actually really, for the strength faction stuff, like they're asking me like, oh, how much is an hour of your time? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, oh, well, we're going to pay you for the hour. I'm like, no, you're not. Like, are you kidding? Like people make you pay for an hour of their time to help other coaches. Like, again, the way I look at it is a lot of people helped me out on the way up. I had some good opportunities and, a lot of the stars aligned and stuff, but a lot of people gave me their time for free, and they might have felt like it was to promote a product, like you mentioned the podcast stuff. Sure. But there were lots of people that just helped me out along the way. And I think, yeah, if you're going to go to a seminar and like they're charging lots of money to do this, but like that's one thing, get a fair pay for your time. But for this, like the least we can all do is try to like, pay it forward a little bit and help out the other coaches that are hungry for more education.
Thanks, Kev.
Yeah,
if you could do me a favor, I probably could find it, but just email me after. I just want to send you a thank you. So send me an address that I can send something to.
Of course, yeah.
And then I'll send you the link too afterwards, just so you can have like a video from it.
Yeah, is it cool to share this with the public, or how you guys? Is this just internal, or?
Okay. It's all yours. I'll send you the YouTube after. So.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, let's do that, and this gives me 10 minutes to go to the bathroom before my client gets here.
Cool.
10 minutes.
Kev. I'll talk to you.